Okay, I don't know that we can afford to wait for the audio guy since we're at the end of the day, and I'm sure some of you may have flown in this morning or late last night. My name is Barry Lawrence, and our panel, we have Bob Sonneblick. Why don't you raise your hands, Bob? From Sonneblick Del Rio, we have Jay Rollins from JCR Capital. We have Michael Dorsch from iStar Financial, and we have Mark Fluent from Lehman Brothers. This is supposed to be a global conference. My sense is that you may care. I was listening to the panel before, and the questions that are in your brochure seem to be similar questions. So I suppose we could talk about the same things that they talked about and have a different perspective from our panelists, but maybe our panelists could play off of that on things that they saw that were different. I'm going to talk just a few minutes about what is this global capital market thing, and is it really overrated? I sense by the questions earlier, most of you are domestic, interested in domestic investment. Raise your hand. Interested in domestic investment? How many of you are interested in investment outside the United States? Okay, so a fair amount of you. That said, let me talk about the environment of last year and this year in the few months we've seen to give you an idea about really global real estate transactions and what is going on. A great deal of my materials come from Real Capital Analytics and Deloitte and Ernst & Young. In transactions last year of 10 million or more that occurred in the world of 1 trillion, a third of them were cross-border. A third of them were cross-border. Now, that doesn't necessarily account for all of the smaller transactions that were occurring worldwide. So about 333 billion was cross-border. Now, cross-border could be to Australia, it is everything. To Hong Kong, it's everything. And to Europe, it's also inter-Europe, which they've been doing for hundreds of years. We in the US haven't been really global investors. I mean, after all, you know, starting with Leif Erikson and Christopher Columbus, they've been coming generally in this direction. But for various reasons, US investors haven't been doing much globally. This has come for the moment to a really halting crash. Global transactions that I've just discussed in real estate in 2007 have dropped by 50% in the first part of this year, 50%. And last year, who was investing where? You hear about China, you hear about India, you hear about Brazil. That's not where the major global transactions were going. The global transactions, generally larger investors looking for larger things, and by volume, who was the largest cross-border investor? US, despite what I said. US investors, 70 billion in transactions of 10 million or more. US investors went substantially out of the United States. UK, 40 billion in second place, substantially all in Europe. Germany, 30 billion, 60% in Europe, 40% in the rest of the world. Australia, 22 billion. Then it goes down to Hong Kong, France, Ireland, Canada, United Emirates, way down the list, despite what you hear. Singapore, pretty high, 10 billion for its size. Spain and even Israel was 9 billion, all outside of the Middle East. Not a lot of places that Israel can put money in the Middle East, and they put it all globally. Netherlands, 8%. So what has happened in this tremendous drop in this last year, and what's caused it? What's caused it are values, but I think what's caused it is this remarkable statistic. In 2007, the commercial mortgage-backed security market, as participant in a transaction, $10 million or more, 45% of those transactions were financed by CMBS in the United States, 45%. European zone, 20%. UK, 18%. Japan, 38%. But we were 45. You don't have a CMBS market, you don't have anybody really, you don't have that kind of flow that we have anymore. So what's going on globally is even though our prices have reached a very, very favorable stage for foreign investment, that foreign investment has slowed down dramatically because they too are also looking for CMBS financing, which, as you heard in the previous panel, and we'll hear more from them, doesn't really exist at this moment in time. Now, in terms of sovereigns, we hear a lot about sovereigns, and I wanted to talk about that in a second, for just a second. The sovereign wealth funds have right now $3 trillion under management. $3 trillion under management. And the $3 trillion under management is actually larger than hedge funds and private equity funds combined, sovereigns. The sovereigns are predicted by 2012 to go up to 12 billion. That's how important, excuse me, not billion, trillion, thank you. Some of you were, I didn't know if you were nodding, sleeping, or trying to give me a message. Trillion. Sovereigns are going from 3 trillion to 10 trillion by 2012. Why? Commodities, oil. And of course, sovereigns don't just, generally sovereigns don't invest in their own country because the whole idea of it is to invest in foreign countries to spread the risk.